Like I said, we have our Mission Sunday today, and these people, I've known them for several years. They have a mission that is very dear to my heart. A matter of fact, I believe that this mission, the mission that they have is so important that I believe what they will be talking about is one of the very things that has caused America's demise, or at least a big part of America's demise. We have got to get the word out of God's love and what God expects out of believers and what God expects out of the world. And we need to be giving the word of God to people so that they can get saved. And a lot of these people find themselves in situations they don't know how to handle. And so, like I said, they have a little mission thing that I think is a very big blessing, and I hope we can get behind it. We're going to go ahead and put this on the radio too. If you know of any churches that are looking for missionaries or have a missionary program, I ask that you get in contact with me or them and make sure that you give them that information so that they can invite them over to their church. I don't want to say too much because I don't know exactly what all they're going to say, so if they leave out anything I want to say, I'll say it later. That makes sense? And no, we're not talking about a football game today. I seen every guy's face light up. They thought we were going to be talking about football, but it's not football. But I want to go ahead and welcome them here. Y'all give them a good welcome as they present their ministry.
Good morning. Such a blessing to be here. Brother Roger, I want to thank you for inviting us. You've been a blessing to me. I used to sing with him over at Harvest Baptist Tabernacle, and then he decided he wanted to come over here and pastor and left me there. But we want to thank the church for having us as well. My name's Matt Everett. This is my wife, Christy. And if I could get my daughters to stand up, I'm going to embarrass them. This is 3 of our daughters. And those 2 boys are 2 of our 3 grandboys. And we have 2 here and 1 in North Carolina. We really appreciate y'all having us. Thank you.
As Matt said, we appreciate y'all letting us come and talk about our ministry. It's something that we're passionate about. And I know that Brother Roger has already alluded to what it was about, but we all know that Satan is against us. We all know that as a child of God, he's against us on every avenue that he could possibly come at us on. But if we think about what his agenda is to just wreak havoc on what is good and moral. If it makes sense, if it is good, if it's moral, if it helps other people, he hates that. And he, in that fight against us, he has waged war on the unborn. We know that the Bible tells us specifically that babies are fearfully and wonderfully made in God's own image. And that in itself aggravates Satan. We're not made in his image, we're made in God's image. So anytime Satan is on you and he looks at you, he has to see the face of God and God's fingerprints on us. Every baby that is born is a soul that is promised to hear the gospel once, at least. Many of us, Christ strived with lots longer than that, but every baby has an opportunity when it comes to the age of accountability to accept Christ as their Savior. And in that, a work begins to further God's kingdom, and that aggravates Satan. So Satan has waged a war against the unborn, and what better way to do that than to snuff it out before it can ever make an impact? That is to make abortion legally and readily available. It used to be a secretive thing. People used to do that in secret, but it's paraded around now. Many people are proud of it. If you look at some of the rallies that's been held, there are on-site abortion, mobile abortions, and people were proud to do that. We're not used to seeing that, and like I said, it's what is good and moral that he is against, and abortion is a huge problem. And that's what our ministry is trying to make a small dent in.
I never thought in a million years, in the greatest country in the entire universe, that we would have to talk about killing our babies. You know, growing up in church my entire life, I've always been able to say I'm pro-life. Wore the badge of honor. I'm pro-life. I'm for the babies. Not a question. Until she come along, it was more than just a badge to her. Last year she came to me and she said, I really feel like God is tugging at my heart to do something about abortion. And if y'all know my wife like I know my wife, she can't sit still. She's always going. She's constantly moving. And it's all I can do to keep up with her. So I brushed her off. And I kind of just ignored her. Well, few days later, she came back to me. And she said, I really feel like I'm supposed to do something for our unborn. And I got aggravated with her. And I think the aggravation came because I was scared. Because if those who know me know I'm a very shy person. And it's hard for me to get up in front of people and talk. But the more she kept talking about it, the more I wanted to argue about it. Like I knew better than what God knew. And every time she brought this up,
I ain't trying to make
she
you nervous,
would...
but we're on the radio, so you're gonna have to hold them up.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't want to talk too loud. My wife tells me I got a big mouth, and I'm trying not to show it. But every time my wife brought this ministry up, okay, it would become a fuss. Not knowing that the devil was fighting us the entire way. She would talk about it, we would argue about it. She would talk about it, we would argue about it. And this went on for 3-4 months. We argued about it. And that's something we just didn't do. We don't argue near as much as we did when we were kids. And we took a shopping trip to Thomaston. We lived down in Zebulon in Pike County. And we took a shopping trip to Thomaston Walmart. We picked up some items, and we were heading back, and she brought it up again. And we started fussing again. And in the middle of fussing, we had a car pull up beside us. And on the back window of that car was a fist held up. The whole back windshield was a fist. It was held up in the air. And on either side of that fist, it said, my body, my choice. And it was like God shut both of us up immediately. And we were completely quiet all the way home. Not a word was said. We said nothing else. It was in that silence that the Lord gave us this ministry. And the name of our ministry is Chance Over Choice. Let your choice be to give them a chance. And we went to our pastor about it, and he was excited. He said, brother, I have never in my 41 years of preaching ever heard of the ministry that you just explained to me. And so we ran with it.
We began to piece together what the Lord wanted out of us, to fill out, to see what exactly that He wanted out of us. But the more that we thought about it, it felt like we were drinking from a water hose. It seems like a problem that couldn't be solved, especially on a small front like us. It's just a huge problem. And so we began to seek the Lord and see what He wanted out of us. And like we said, it's a huge problem. We've got some statistics that I don't think that many of us think about. When we think about abortion, many of us think about what we grew up with, which is teen pregnancy. Teens getting pregnant in high school, having to drop out and face the troubles of life. But the reality is that abortion-minded women are much older now, and when babies come along, they're often interfering with their life, or they're not ready for it, or things of that nature. But the numbers or statistics are staggering. I'll let Matt tell you.
In 2023, there were 1,037,880 babies killed. In 2024, that jumped up 1.5% to 1,053,430 babies killed. And that 2-year total, just the last 2 years. Now, we're just talking the last 2 years. 2,091,310 babies were killed. And everybody's sitting here wondering what this is. This is the inside of the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta where the Atlanta Falcons play. In 2 years of killing babies, you can fill that stadium up. Shoulder to shoulder with every baby killed, you can fill that stadium up 29.5 times.
That's only the voluntarily reported abortions. That doesn't include abortions that are not reported. That doesn't include illegal abortions. That doesn't include medical abortions. And that doesn't include the Plan B pill that come over the counter in 2006. You can run to Walmart or to CVS and pick up that pill. These are just voluntarily reported abortions. If you can imagine how much higher that number probably is in reality, and those numbers are staggering. I can't even, when we began our ministry, we tried to find a way to display those numbers. We tried poster boards with stickers, but we quickly realized that I'd spend about $500 in stickers. Our daughter-in-law is a media professional, and I said, Heather, can you help me generate a picture that is that big? And she couldn't either. We couldn't even find a way to generate that. You just have to let your mind go there and imagine what that would look like. But what can we do? That's, and that made us even more nervous to hear these numbers, thinking, what can we do? What can we do on our small front?
There are numerous amounts of pro-life groups and organizations there, and they're all great. And we work closely with a lot of them now. But we can do more. I know we can do more. Just not putting our eggs in these pro-life groups, but we feel like that we can take it even further than that.
Our burden in particular is for moms after the decision. Like he said, we work closely with several pro-life groups, and we do support them, and our church supports them, and we support them and ourselves. But the Lord laid a burden on our heart for those moms after the decision. We oftentimes we congratulate these women when they make the decision. A story that pricked my heart was a testimony that we heard, and they were outside of the abortion clinic, and they were praying, and they weren't being controversial or facetious. They were just on the side, and as women came in, they offered them an alternative. Let me pray with you. Let me offer you a better way. And a woman pulled up with her son in the car with tears in her eyes. She rolled her window down, and she said, I'm not trying to be controversial. She said, but tell me, after these women make that decision, what do you do for them after that? And the Lord spoke to me and said, you don't do anything to them after that. You tell them congratulations, and you run back home, and you run back home to maybe no support of a partner. Maybe the partner's not anywhere to be found. You run back home to poor finances. You run back home to a life that's not conducive to a baby, but you've saved him, and you go home and you parent that baby. In reality, sometimes that just doesn't work. Sometimes they just can't do that. Sometimes parenting is just not an option. And that's where we want to pick them up, and we want to, women instinctually, often, we're made to love children. I was in Walmart one time, and a lady was going, and she had a buggy full of kids. And that buggy fell over. And when the buggy fell over, children went everywhere. And me and about 3 other ladies are just scooping up kids everywhere. Oftentimes, crime organizations will target women, and they'll do that by setting a car seat on the side of the road. Because they know if we ride by and we think a child is in danger, we're going to stop and get it. We're going to hang on to it till the police can get there. Women instinctually love children. And a lot of these women are put in these situations, maybe not because that's their first choice. Maybe their first choice is not an abortion. Maybe they wish they didn't have to do that. And that's where we wanted to come in. We wanted to come in and say, if you will let us help you, we will. We were at a gala for a pregnancy resource center, and Truett Cathy's daughter was speaking, and she gave a statistic that it'll break your heart if you think about it. 86% of the women that they polled said, I would not have gotten an abortion if there had been somebody that offered to help me afterwards. That's heartbreaking. We think of where we were in life when we started out, and think of where you were in life when you started out, when you started your family, when you got married and started your family, what resources did you have? Many of us had parents that would help. We had grandparents that would help. We had church family that would help. We grew up with church family that was just like family. I could have run to their house if I'd have wanted to, but women don't often have that. And that's what we want to be for them. Our idea is to help them after the decision, oftentimes up until the baby starts school if necessary.
Now, how do we help? Okay, we have this mom. She chose life for her child. What does she need from us? Well, the pregnancy centers, they're great. They're a fantastic resource, but they only take them so far. And then once they've taken them as far as they can take them, they kind of just drop them off. Where we come in is we want to pick up at the moment the resource center drops them off and they can't do nothing else for them. We go and we make sure that mama knows whatever your baby needs, we want to make sure we set her up for success. We want to make sure that baby has diapers. We want to make sure that baby, if needed, has formula. We want to make sure that baby has shoes, clothing, toys, anything the mama needs for that baby. We're going to make sure we're there for it. Not only the baby, but we want to help mom as well. A lot of these moms don't have jobs. We want to be there to help them find jobs. A lot of these moms, we have one right now. She doesn't have a place to live. She's what she calls couch surfing at friends' house. All of her family's in New Jersey. We want to find them their own places to live. We want to make sure that mom is set up with the things that she needs, a running car. You'd be amazed at how many of these moms don't have cars. They can't even get to work, so they don't have a job. So we want to make sure we offer that, but the very most important thing that we want to give these mamas is Jesus. Amen. Because without him, her entire life is for naught. She's going to die, and she's going to go to hell. And our number one mission in this ministry is to present the gospel, to make sure that she's saved and on her way to heaven, and to make sure that we can find her a home church, whether it be our home church or whether it be a church close to them that we're working with. We want to make sure that the baby's needs are done, mama's needs are done, and mama's spiritual needs are done. Because if mama can get saved and get in church, that means baby can get saved later down the road and stay in church. And now you've just broken the cycle of poverty, leading to bad decisions, leading to should I have an abortion.
We also, one of the things that we offer, we try to take on a new baby for Christmas each year. Actually, the baby that we're taking on this year is a baby that actually survived the Plan B pill. Mom was in a situation where it wasn't that she didn't want her, but she couldn't. And she took the Plan B pill, and the baby survived. And we get to love on her often, and she's a little blonde-headed, blue-eyed girl, and every one of you I know would want to take her home if you saw her, and she's precious, and we can't wait to spoil her at Christmas. We do acknowledge, though, that every situation that moms are in, parenting is not an option. We don't put unrealistic expectations on mom. We know that there are situations where she can save her baby, but she may not be able to parent. So we also work with organizations who make a way for her to parent in other ways, and that might be through adoption. We also try our best to support foster families. We have a foster family in our church, Harvest Baptist Tabernacle in Jonesboro with Dr. Joe Arthur. We have a foster family that's in our church now that has 2 wonderful babies, and we try to support them, and we're so proud of them, and we're glad those organizations are there. There are many different situations, and families often look different, and we thank the Lord for them. We don't help these moms because we don't know what struggles like. We do. We have our own testimony. We have a family now. We have children. We have grandchildren. But we didn't always look like this. We started out with our own experience that was unique to us. We carry many battle scars, and we have our own testimony. I'll let Matt tell you about that one.
We can put ourselves in the position of a lot of these moms and a lot of these families that we are dealing with. I grew up a preacher's boy my whole life. I was in church Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night. Revivals weekly, different churches. That's just what we did. My daddy was on the deacon board. He then surrendered the call to preach. She grew up a deacon's daughter. I met this girl here. She was 4 years old at Thomas Road Baptist Church in Jonesboro. And we went to church there for a while together. My daddy was her Sunday school teacher and youth leader. And then we parted ways. Her family left and went to Little Bethel Baptist Church in Fayetteville. And we didn't see each other again until 1996 into 1997. We met back up at a watch night service, and I already told you I was shy. This one is not. She came up to me at the front of the church, and we began to talk. That talking led to a phone conversation the next day. Fast forward, just because I'm a preacher's boy, and just because she's a deacon's daughter, both saved and on our way to heaven, doesn't mean we didn't sin. Okay? We made mistakes, and at 15 years old, she became pregnant. And here I was, had no clue what in the world I was going to do. Because she was 15, about to be 16, and I was 17, or 16, about to be 17, and now we've got to tell our parents. And I just knew Daddy was going to kill me. And I knew her daddy was going to kill me. And we waited for a long time before we said anything until finally we couldn't wait no more. And we were right. They almost killed us. We had family that wanted to keep us apart.
Right.
Just co-parent. But the scarier thing about it is we had family that said, just have an abortion. Christians,
That's right.
Baptist Christians said, just have an abortion. Yeah, we were shocked too. We couldn't believe what we were hearing. Yes, we made a mistake. Yes, we sinned, and we paid dearly for it. But there was no way under the sun we were going to let our baby be killed by a doctor. We started calling places left and right. We were just kids. We didn't know what in the world we was going to do. We weren't married. calling attorneys. What options do we have? Well, after the smoke settled, we thought it best to get married. And we did. Our pastor at the time, bless his heart, he wasn't used to it. And he's like, the only way I know to make it right is you're going to have to marry her. Well, I married her. Well, we thought life was great. End of story. We were wrong. We were totally wrong. Here I am, a kid. You got a mama who's a kid. And she's trying to tell me how to be a husband, and I'm trying to tell her how to be a wife. We don't have a clue what we're doing. 5 months after we got married, our first baby was born. His name is Austin. We struggled so bad. After her parents pushed us out of the nest, and we were grateful they let us live with them, but they said, it's time for y'all to go. We, luckily, through the grace of God, in the first-time homeowners program, we were able to buy our own home that we couldn't afford. We had no clue how we were going to pay for it. And there were many winters. We went with no heat, no food. 17 months after our boy was born, our oldest daughter was born. Had no way of knowing how we were going to dress her, feed her. Many days I would go to work making $200 a week. All they had to eat was potato chips that somebody had given us because they had gone stale. We had no way of buying groceries. We had no heat in the wintertime, no way of buying anything, but too proud to ask because we wanted to figure it out. But that was just part of the story. The other side of the story is me and her stayed at each other to the point where to this day we don't know why we never divorced. And all we know is it's God's grace. We struggled and we struggled and we struggled, but not one struggle ever, not one time did God ever leave us. He was always there for us. The need always got met.
That's right.
We never complained. Well, we did complain, but we didn't complain to God that he wasn't doing enough. Because looking back now, we've had 3 more children after the first 2, and now we're mom and daddy to 5 children. And it did get easier. Yeah. And I guess what I'm trying to say is we can tell these moms, yeah, it's pretty rough right now, but we've been there. We know what you're going through. Yeah. There is a better way, and we can show you how to do it. And now look at us. We both went back to school and got our GEDs.
That's right.
I worked my dream career for 16 years as a police officer until I was hit head on and a car wreck while on duty that broke my neck. And I had to medically retire, and I'm now fully disabled, can't do anything. But you know what? God is still good because he's still supplying our every need. We don't go for hungry. We don't go for want of anything. Our oldest son is in full-time ministry up in North Carolina. His home church is Trinity Baptist Church with Dr. Ralph Sexton Jr. His grandson Winston took over. Our daughter here, she's a phlebotomist. Our third child, our middle baby, she is in college, and we still have these 2 at home. And we have 3 wonderful grandboys. We said that to say this. We have a story. These moms who chose life for their baby are going to have the same story. And we just want to make sure that they know that we can get them through it. It looks hard now, but I promise you it gets better.
That's right. So yes, we had a rough start. I know many of you probably have your own testimonies, and this is a testimony that we didn't share until last year, and I think we blew the minds of even many of our friends who didn't know our story, but the Lord gave us liberty to share that. And so our testimony says, yes, we had a rough start. Will others have a worse start? Sure. They may have a worse start than we did. Is there a better way? There absolutely was. If it wasn't for our support system, we would not be standing here before you today. And we want to be that for someone else. And we ask that if you would pray for us as we minister to these moms. They need the gospel. They need resources. We live in a time that is expensive. It is, as many of you know, it's expensive for everything. I think when I step outside the door, I hear cha-ching. It's expensive for everything. I ask that you pray for these moms, that their needs would be met. Our goal is to meet the needs for the babies. We try to be good stewards of the Lord's money and our donors' money, and we don't often supply things like housing and things like that, but our goal is to take away every need for that baby, and that way mom and dad's money can go towards their bills, and we can take that from the moms, take that off their shoulders. We ask that you help us to pray that the Lord will send us the moms that He wants us to minister to. And we are just thankful that the Lord is using us and letting us be His hands and His feet. And we are thankful and unworthy. And we thank you all for letting us share our story and share our hearts. And we ask that you pray for us, and most of all, pray for those moms who are in a place that they may not necessarily want to be. And we thank you.
I think Brother Roger wanted me to get into a little bit of what happened to me. I was a cop for 16 years, almost 16 years. I was with Fayette County Sheriff's Office for 12 and 3.5 with Spalding County Sheriff's Office. I was on my way home, July. And I'm asking her because I don't remember any of it. I was on my way home, and it was pouring down raining, they tell me. And a guy hit me going 70 miles an hour head on. It broke my neck, crushed my neck, actually. The doctor told me you shouldn't be alive. And if you did live, you shouldn't be breathing or walking on your own. He said, I've never seen the C2 get crushed that badly and someone survive. So not only am I a walking miracle, but I'm grateful that God led me through something that was so hard. It crushed the neck. It broke all the bones on this side of my body. It ripped off my face here. When my canine came through the kennel door, the gate came down and tore this part of my face off. And she survived. Everybody asked, well, how's the dog? She's fine. She's at home right now, and it's her baby. And so during that wreck, I don't remember how it happened, what happened. It wiped away about 4.5 years of my memory. I don't even remember working at Spalding County Sheriff's Office. My son got married after the wreck. I don't remember him getting married. I don't remember the people I worked with. I couldn't even tell you what the sheriff's name of Spalding County is right now. She could, but I can't. Now, when I tell you that when I think of my law enforcement career, all I can think about is Fayette, because that's the only thing I remember working. But God was so good to me that He brought me through that. Because as a cop, you tend to let the world grab a hold of you and change you. My brother-in-law told me, he was retired Riverdale, and he said, being the police is going to change you. And I said, not this old boy. It's not going to change me. It did. And I truly believe it changed me so bad that God literally smacked me in the face and said, you're done. This career is over for you. This is not who you are, and this is not who I want you to be. Because the things that you see and the things you have to do, it hardens you. And I'll never forget it. My pastor, as big as our church is, looked down and he said, Matt, I can tell you the day that I watched the countenance go out of your face. He said, I remember it like it was yesterday. And he said, I knew then something was wrong with you. And I said that to say, I am thankful God spared my life. And He gave me a second chance to serve Him. And it's because of that wreck and because of these scars that I bear the mark of sin. And I'm so thankful that God gave me another chance to serve Him. And because of that wreck now, after fighting her so bad over it, I'm so thankful to be a part of this ministry. And I'm so thankful that y'all have allowed us to come in and talk to you about it. Brother Roger, I'm thankful for you. Thank you so much for bringing us. And we love you. Yes.